No Matthews, no problem. All diarrhea memes aside, we have ourselves the Toronto Maple Leafs who force a Game 6. What an overtime winner here by Matthew Knies, giving Boston the 2-1 lead and victory in this game. Game 5 in Boston, the barn was raising up the roof, and a lot of people were kind of walking into this game, myself included, with a hint of pessimism for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Because, wow, how many times have we seen this before? The Toronto Maple Leafs not showing up when they need to show up the most. And with all the narratives about the team and how Marner is pretty much done, he might get traded soon, how Matthews is going to get out, how the big three are all arguing on the bench, this and that. With all the Samsonov conversations, Joseph Woll got the start here. We were kind of thinking, okay, this will be interesting, but with the way momentum has shifted around in this series, Boston has this in the bag if they're able to just do what they've been able to do. But, like we've been seeing in Toronto Maple Leafs history the past few years here in the playoffs, the Leafs, they get it done with just 2 goals. They only score twice, but that twice is all they needed to win in this one. They actually did do a really good job at shutting down the Boston Bruins. The Bruins only had 2 shots in the first period, I'm pretty sure it was, and yeah, the second shot of theirs actually was their only goal of the game, so unlucky break for the Leafs there, but Toronto played a lot more of a shutdown game than what we're used to seeing when it comes to this Game 5. They really took it to them, and they had a strategy that allowed them to win. Especially when it comes to the production and the chances. We saw 2 goals in the first period. The first goal scored by Jake McCabe, a snapshot off the face-off. He just gets it back from Marner and Domi, rips it to the goal, quick release, no drag, no nothing. It goes right by Swayman. And then just a few minutes later, the goal is scored by Trent Frederic. It's a beautiful centering feed from the corner, and Frederic is right there in front to whack it on goal. That is the 1-1 marker. And then for the rest of the game, we saw some chances, we saw some shots, we saw some good defensive play, we saw some very frantic opportunities. The Toronto Maple Leafs at the start of the third just had so many great chances, and then the Bruins towards the end of the third had even more great chances themselves. The opportunities were neck and neck, but ultimately it is Matthew Knies in overtime who seals the deal and gets it done. It's Johnny T going down low, he forces it, power forwards his way down the boards, and eventually one-hands it right in front off the goaltender and into the crease, where Matthew Knies is right there to put the biscuit in the basket. That's the biggest goal that Matthew Knies has ever scored. Ever. To keep the Maple Leafs alive in this Game 5 and in this series and send everything back home to Toronto, where the Toronto Maple Leafs will see what they're able to do on home ice if they're able to close things out and extend the series to Game 7, get it back to Boston one more time. Who knows if they'll even have Auston Matthews to help them out with that too. But when it comes to the series as a whole, I think a lot of people, especially heading into it, were thinking that it would go to 7, so this isn't like the most unideal situation in the world if you're a fan of your brackets being right, but at the end of the day, you know, this was a really strong victory for the Maple Leafs. They honestly deserved it, and with the goaltending, with the perseverance, with the offense, with the shutdown defense, they got it done. There were a few opportunities that the Bruins had that were so close, just inches away from being goals, if not robbed away by a Joseph Woll or just kind of a little bit off to the side. There were so many opportunities where Woll had to stand on his head here. And you could very well say that Jeremy Swayman had similar things happen to him. So this certainly was not a boring game. Even though it was very low scoring, there were definitely not a lack of chances in this one. Except if you count out the Boston Bruins in the first period, because the only real chance that they had ended up being a goal. So, if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, what are your opinions about this win? What are your opinions about the rest of the series and how things are going to shape up? Let me know your thoughts if you're a Boston Bruins fan. How do you feel about your team? This has been a very, very interesting segment for Bruins fans. Because, yeah, while it's true, the Toronto Maple Leafs come back, the 3-1 perseverance and overcoming their demons. That's always been the narrative here, but the other secondary narrative that has been kind of in the background this entire time lies on the Boston Bruins. This tandem of Swayman and Ullmark, they are unwinning in elimination game scenarios. I think the graphic showed up on Sportsnet. They are 0-2, both of them. They're each 0-2 in elimination scenarios where they can win and move on to the next series. They choked last year's 3-1 lead against the Florida Panthers in absolutely terrible fashion. Are they going to allow the Toronto Maple Leafs to do the same thing? What the Leafs need at this point is an absolute dagger of a game in Game 6. This team has been cursed. They cannot score more than 3 goals in a playoff game, and that's been the pattern that we have seen over the past few years. So, heading into this next game, if they can get 4, if they can get 5, that will be all they need. Now, it's easy to say, oh yeah, score 5 goals, you win the game, but we haven't seen the Leafs really have this identity for themselves in the postseason yet. For the past few years, they haven't been able to string together wins aside from the Tampa Bay series last year. So being able to actually get your offense going, whether it is with Matthews in the lineup or not, this is what I feel they need to focus on the most. Just, scoring goals. That's kind of how you got to do it, right? But I will say there is an identity to this Leafs team that we have not seen fully fulfilled just yet. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Toronto Maple Leafs and their opportunities heading into game number 6? It's coming back over to the ACC, baby. Is that what it's called? No, it's not the ACC. Never mind. Scotiabank Arena, yeah. Oh man, my brain is still stuck in like 2013, haha, but can you blame me because all the other Toronto Maple Leafs fans are still there too, but yeah. Toronto wins Game 5, 2-1, very close game. Trent Frederic, Matthew Knies, and Jake McCabe are your goal scorers. Good on Johnny T, I will say, for finally getting himself a really important moment in this year's playoffs. We know we had the overtime winner in Tampa last time, which is what allowed the Leafs to win the first round, but with everybody clamoring about the veterans and the most paid guys on the team, the Matthewses, the Marners, the Nylanders, it was great to see Johnny T set up an overtime victory for Matthew Knies in that way. From old to new, right? That's kind of how it goes. The veteran presence sending it over to the hotshot young guy and Matthew Knies. If Knies can keep on doing that as the postseason continues, then the Toronto Maple Leafs will be golden, but of course they have to get by Boston first in order to get that opportunity. Bruins fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did your team do poorly on? What could you guys improve on? And how did you feel about the performance in this game? I honestly feel like it was a coin toss. Like at the end of it, the Bruins had so many good opportunities that this very well could have just been an over-in-5 series from many of those chances at the start of the third period for Boston. So ultimately, that's not the result we get. The hockey gods work in very mysterious ways. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Toronto Maple Leafs and Boston Bruins game number 5. Toronto lives to see another day. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.